I'm Linda from YogaMums.net. I thought I'd take you through a sequence of bone strengthening, weight bearing exercises. This is all yoga stuff, but we can make yoga a lot stronger in order to create sort of a sense of strength in the body. So I'm just going to take you through a couple of bits and pieces. First of all, just warming up the body. So coming down into a goddess stance, knees are on top of heels, big circles through the pelvis, one direction and then the other. Start to enhance the lung capacity by taking the arms up, shoulders away from ears. This will allow the breath to come into the bottom of your lungs. So pull the breath up through the back of your lungs, arms out to the side, drop the shoulders right away from your ears, pull out through your middle fingers, increasing the stretch right down through that front line, the heart meridian, good, and then dropping down, lateral stretch, press down through the heel. We're just opening up into the hips a little bit here before we get going. Shoulder away from ears, deep breath in, good, Trikonasana. So we turn both feet one way, let the hip roll forward, stretch the arms out, drop the hand wherever it lands, top shoulder on top of bottom shoulder, so we lengthen these inner thighs, these adductor muscles. Top arm up and then mobilizing the shoulder joint, big circles here. Breathing fully. Wonderful. Take the arm up and then draw the shoulder back so we stretch into these pectoral muscles, create a twist through the upper back. Bottom shoulder drawing in slightly. Let the head be heavy. Getting a deep stretch here. You can always take your hand off your leg to create more stability through those legs. Take this top arm down, pull through the fingers, let the head be heavy, stretch right into the scalenes here. Smooth breath. Good. Turning the head down, push yourself into side angle, Parsvakonasana, just a deeper stretch into the groin before we get going. Press the little toes into the ground, lengthen arms up and over. This strengthens the thigh bones and thigh muscles. We create a lot of pressure through the shin bone as well and the ankles. So wonderful to get that bone density. Our bones are living organisms and we need to keep the weight-bearing, strengthening exercises up, especially as we age. Roll those shoulders, dropping the head again. If you want to come deeper into the pose, fingertips on the ground, press the knee back with the elbow, hand either overhead or wrapping behind you to open the chest that little bit more. Smooth breath. Turn yourself around. So now coming into a tripod, stretch your fingertips out in front of you, press the outside of your feet into the ground so you lift through the inner arches. Imagine you're on the rack, so you're pulling your tail back as you pull your fingers forward. This creates a deep stretch into the adductors, the inner thigh muscles. We also create space between the vertebrae. And then taking the hands below the chest here, taking one hand up towards the sky, or elbow up, if that's easier on your shoulders. Upper back twist, and then down on the other side. Creating some mobility through the body. Great. Heel toe your feet in, toes out, heels in, coming into a low squat. So we open up the inner thigh muscles by pushing elbows into knees, and then press your knees into your elbows. So squeeze those inner thigh muscles, and then again, press outwards, stretch the inner thigh muscles right into the pelvic floor. Looking up, we're going to rock it up on an exhale. So you push the floor away, up, and then down. You push the floor away, up and down. So this is amazing for creating strength through your thighs and your glutes. It also opens up the inner thigh muscles. We're toning into the pelvic floor. And as we come up on an exhale, we're also working all of our deep core muscles. Make sure that your sitting bones are lifted. Your torso is long and straight. You're not leaning forward. And again, good. Coming into Trikonasana, triangle on the other side. So toes facing forward on your mat, roll your back hip forward, lengthen out your fingers, drop the hand, top shoulder on top of bottom shoulder, lengthen up with those fingertips, create a bit of a twist through the upper back, big circles with the arms, and then create that stretch into the scalenes here. This lengthens the glutes and the thigh muscles, primes the muscles for doing a bit of strengthening in a moment. Good, smooth breath. And then come down into Pansbakanasana, side angle pose. So lengthen your feet a little bit further away from each other. Little toe edge of your back foot pressing into the ground. That creates a long line of energy outside of your body. Either fingertips on the ground, pressing your front knee back, or forearm on thigh. Creating this openness through the chest. We're really working here deeply. This is the weight bearing, squeezing for a good 5 to 10 breaths, if you can, staying in this position. This kind of work deeply strengthens into the pelvis and into the glutes and into the hips and into the thighs here. Right, let's come down, take this top hand, wrap it behind you to open the chest a little bit more. Good. And then we're going to come back into the tripod, stretch out through the whole of your back, fingertips forward, sitting bones lifted, tail lifted. And then taking those feet closer together again, coming into Malasana, your deep squat. Elbows pressing out those knees. If you can't come down that low, it doesn't matter. Take the hands onto the inside of the knees. Keep the torso lifted though, nice and straightish here. Wherever you are, we're going to rock it up again. Exhaling, down, exhaling. You literally push the floor away with the heels. It's like you're hammering your heels down into the ground. We're working right deep on our corsetory muscles here. Fantastic. Give your body a shake, coming into some standing balances, working on corsetory. So start by coming into, it's in yoga, it's Tadasana, mountain pose. We want to make sure behind is behind us, feet are pushing down and slightly out, so the abductor muscles on the other thighs are working. We have a slight lift through the inner arches. Rib cage comes up away from the pelvis slightly. So we stretch the side waist. And we keep the base of the rib cage dropping here, so we're not flaring through the chest. Head perfectly balanced on top of your neck. Draw the chin in, lift up through the ridge at the back of the head. Let your shoulders be relaxed. Give them a little roll, let them just drop down into the sockets. Now squeeze into your right thigh. So you squeeze your thigh muscles into your thigh bones. You're really stabilizing here. And then press your foot, but all of your foot, down into the ground. Imagine you've got roots deep down into the ground. Take your other foot out behind you. First of all, we're going to just work into gluteus medius here towards the top of our bum, and also gluteus minimus here. So foot is out to the side at about 7 o'clock. Arms can be out to stabilize. And we're just going to do some pickups here. So little taps to work on gluteus muscles. Also really strong on your standing leg. Make sure you don't tilt over to the side. Keep lifting up through the ridge of the back of the head, through the crown of your head. So this might look easy, but we're working on all of that deep corsetory structure so that we can stabilize. So same here, little tilts. Do the same thing on the other side. Squeeze thigh muscles in. Make sure your hip doesn't pull out to the side. You're going to keep it all in. Corsetory switched on. Toes out. Little picking up. Taps through glutes. Tummy button drawing in and up. Pelvic floor slightly lifted to help you stabilize. We just need to make sure we release the pelvic floor when we come out of this. Taps here. Good. And then down. Give your bum a swirl in each direction. So now we're going to do some what I call crocodile crunches. So arms out like crocodile jaws. Toe back to that inline skating position. Don't let your hip drop out to the side. Keep it nice and stable here. As you exhale, the exhalation helps your corsetory draw in and up. So as you exhale, draw your knee up, close your crocodile jaws. Inhale to open, close. Inhale to open, close. Really good for creating that stability through the pelvis. We're working very strongly on that standing leg. We're also working the deep core muscles and pelvic floor muscles against gravity. So this is actually way more beneficial than doing stuff on your back. Adding in balancing with core muscle stabilization. Fantastic. Keep doing it. See if you can go slower. Really, really slow to close. Inhale, open the front line of the body. Really, really slowly to close. Good. And again, really slowly to close. Now take the arms out to the side. Lift your knee up. Crown of the head is lifted. Holding corset tree in and up. Maybe kicking your foot out. Maybe rolling the ankle. And then dropping it. Your hip that you've been on the standing leg will probably feel pretty sore now. So I want you to adduct it. So come up onto your toes. We draw the knee in. We draw the knee in. So as we exhale, draw the knee in. Little swivels as if you are Elvis. Wonderful. This just releases right over into that IT band, into the glutes here, into the piriformis, releasing. Very good. And then doing that on the other side. So standing leg, strong. Lengthening up through your crocodile arms. Lift up through the waist here. Press your standing leg into the ground. So your feet are wide and spread out. Okay, exhaling, knee in, inhaling to open. Exhaling to close, crocodile, open. Good. If you wobble a bit, it's good because it means your standing leg foot is having to work hard. All of your muscles in your foot are having to work hard to stabilize you. Keep feeling as if you have a string from the crown of your head pulling you upwards towards the sky if you are outside, on the ceiling if you're inside. Whoa, keep going. I'm going to just do another couple of slow ones here. Slow. Inhale and slow. Very good. Keep the knee in, maybe arms out to the side. Crown of the head is lifted, foot pressing into the ground. Now stick your foot out towards me and roll the ankle using the quads. Good. Core. And then drop it. Very nice. And same thing, just rotating through the hip joint, releasing the hip muscles of your standing leg. Exhale in. Make these next few slow. Good. And very good. So yoga is fantastic for keeping your muscles long and lean, but really working deeply on core muscles. So we're going to come down onto the ground and work a little bit more onto core and onto the upper back. Come to a sun salutation to get down. So feet hip width apart, crown of the head is lifted. Keep the head bang on top of the neck here, opening up the chest, hands down beside you. Soften the knees. Inhale, big breath up, hands up towards the sky. Exhale down. Big breath up, reminding your body to breathe deeply, sending that oxygen around the body. We want to enhance the oxygen exchange here. Now, take your hands down above your knees and send the crown of the head forward so we can activate the extensor muscles of the back. So we want to draw the shoulders right away from the ears, draw the base of the rib cage in so you're not flaring here, and you can feel all of your corsetry switched on. You feel as if you are vacuum packing muscles in towards spine. Shoulders right away from here, stretch the neck. Keep feeling as if a mother cat has picked you up by the scruff of the neck here. Good. Now, if you want to create good posture, we need to strengthen the upper back muscles. So try taking your arms out to the side, palms forward, thumbs up, little fingers down. Little circles backwards, toning the upper arms, also creating strength in the rhomboids between the shoulder blades here. Great for posture. Good. Little circles backwards. Wonderful. Bend the knees, take the hands behind you, interlace them. Take the hands up towards the ceiling, drop your head. So we squeeze those shoulders. Now lift the whole shoulder girdle. Prime your shoulders for what we're about to do. Hands down on the ground. Step one foot back. Drop down onto the back knee. Press the foot into the ground. Open up the hip flexors. So take yourself forward into a lunge, shoulders away from the ears, lift the ribcage away from the pelvis, press the back foot into the ground to create a deeper stretch. Lifting the heart. Good, hands down on either side of that front foot, tuck the back toes, downward facing dog. So down dog, it's a wonderful rest pose. It becomes a rest pose because we lengthen both the back of the body and the back of the legs, but the head is down, so heart doesn't have to work quite so hard, and we can rest here, and it accentuates the exhalation. Now, you want to make sure that the back is straight, so if your knees need to be bent, that's absolutely fine. We lengthen the tailbone back and up. It feels as if we're spreading the sitting bones as much as possible. We press down and out with our hands to feel as if we're spinning plates underneath the hands, and that will help the shoulders roll away from each other. We create a draping sensation here through serratus anterior, draping down towards the ground. Once you've got your back straight, then try to press the heels down to open up the back of the heels here. Very nice. Now take your feet back. We're going to exhale forward. As you exhale forward, draw your pelvic floor in, zip up through your corset tree, and take now your shoulders right over your fingertips. So we're coming into a plank here for a moment. Shoulders are right away from ears. Pelvic floor is lifted. Fantastic. Drop the knees. Elbows come in. Down onto the ground. Tops of the feet on the ground. Inhale to lift the heart. Exhale, soften. So as you inhale, the lungs inflate and the chest just rises up. You don't want to have very much weight through your hands. The hands are very lightly placed on the ground. Good. Let's take the hands behind us. Shalabhasana. Stretching back, creating a lot of strength into the back of the body and down. Stretching the front of the chest and down. Good. Now, switching on everything through the back and the glutes as well. Fingertips stretching back, toes are active. Inhale to come up, rocketing backwards. Exhale, soften down. Inhale, toes, fingers rocketing backwards, crown of the head rocketing forward and down. Inhale, toning the back line of the body, toning the glutes, squeezing those extensor muscles and down. And again, roll the shoulders, switch it all on, and down. Just give yourself a couple of recovery breaths in Sphinx. Forearms on the ground, the shoulders on top of the elbows, chest is drawing forward, creating a little bit of a lift through the chest. Drop one shoulder, look over the other shoulder. Inhale, drop the other shoulder. So you just give your upper back a rinse. Hypertension starts around the shoulders. So really important not to just do strengthening, but also to do release work, conscious release work, breathing out. Good. Hands under shoulders. Push yourself back into an extended child pose. Now we're lengthening underneath the arms here and stretching through the lower back. Knees are wide. Shoulders rolling away from ears. Let the belly be soft for a moment. Smooth breath. Good. Inhaling, coming up onto hands and knees. Tuck the toes again. Downward facing dog so that we can start to stretch into the hip flexors on the other side when we come into our lunge. So breathing in downward dog, pressing those heels down one at a time to create openness. We want length in our muscles as well as strength. If we're just bulking up the muscles, we're not getting vascular flow through those muscles. And we're certainly, as we age, we need to create length in muscles as well, not just keep tightening, tightening, tightening. Good. Shoulders rolling away from the ears. And then dropping down onto your knees and coming into a lunge on the other side. So back foot pressing into the ground. As you press the back foot into the ground, pelvis comes slightly forward. Make sure you're not tucked, you're not flaring here. You're neutral with your pelvis. And then lifting ribcage away from pelvis. Let the heart lift. As you press into that back foot, we stretch deeply into the quads and into the hip flexors. Really good. Fantastic. Wonderful. Coming down again, come back into hands and knees position. Take your knees wider, drop your hips back towards your heels. We're going to start to switch on core muscles now and put pressure through the shoulders and forearms and wrists. So as you exhale, we're coming forward. We're going to take the four corners of the pelvic floor, draw them in and zip upwards, which is the healthy way, especially if you've had children, in order to switch on your deep core muscles rather than just switching on core and not activating the pelvic floor. So as we exhale, come forward, making sure that this is all lifting and switching on. Drop back again, relax the pelvic floor, exhaling forward. Good, and down again. Exhaling forward. And down. We're going to add in some tricep dips. So exhaling forward. Inhaling, elbows close in towards the body. Exhaling to push up. Inhaling, relaxing pelvic floor and lower belly. Exhaling forward. Dip as much as you can. It doesn't matter if you're up here. We just don't want elbows out to the side. They're close in. Exhaling up. Inhaling, release. Exhaling. Inhaling down. Exhale. When you use the exhale, we vacuum up the pelvic organs, so we do not put intra-abdominal pressure down through the pelvic floor. Really, really important, and not something that is taken seriously enough in most classes. So if you have had kids in particular, or if you are a perinatal or postmenopausal woman, you need to take the intra-abdominal pressure that you're creating in your exercise seriously. You need to know how to regulate it and how to work with your breath and with a pelvic floor lift before you work deeply, especially on the external recti muscles. And take your fingers a little bit wider now. Stretch the underside of your arms again. Shoulders are away from ears. Now, one great whole body weight exercise, which doesn't put too much pressure down in the pelvic floor, but is great for your corsetry, is Vasisthasana in yoga. It's called ancient sage pose. Now, the way I get into it, the way I teach my students to get into it, is coming forward on an exhale to come into plank. So we exhale and then take heels up towards the ceiling. So corsetry is really switched on. It's not just a arm exercise here. I'm feeling really switched on pelvic floor and core. One hand into the center of your mat, rolling over onto the side so that you stack your top foot on top of your bottom foot or toes on the ground. So now my chest is open, all the weight is down through my shoulders and down through my wrists. So it's strong, with really good weight bearing through the arm and maybe arm up towards the ceiling. If you're strong here, now this is really fabulous also for gluteus medius and minor. You might even take top foot up. Stretch the fingertips on top so you create a long line here. Make sure you keep breathing. You keep pushing the floor away. Wonderful. And maybe doing some work here. If that's a bit strong, toes down in front of you, you're still working very strongly on the obliques as well as your arm here. Great. And you can also do a similar thing, but with knees on the ground. Still working on the obliques, and you can take the arms out and the toes out as well. So, picking your paws in here, doing that on one side, dropping yourself down. This time, take your elbows onto your mat, elbows wide, fingers up towards the ceiling if you're praying. Drop the chest down, so we squeeze the upper back. We squeeze and release. Take the chin in or take the head to one side so you don't squash your nose. Let the breath become long. And then doing that on the other side. So I'll just spin around so you can see me. So we start back. We exhale forward. Then we tuck toes. Exhaling again to come into plank. So this is a safe plank. If you're not planking, just knees on the ground, this is still really nice and strong. Fantastic. So we're either coming from plank, hand into the middle, rolling over. So now weight is down through the shoulder, through the wrists, either stacking toes or one toe in front to stabilize. If you're stacking toes, then keep making it harder for yourself, like so. Maybe one arm up, maybe one leg up. Keep breathing. Maybe taking some movement through there to challenge your stability. We're working really hard here through the hips, through the obliques, and of course through the arms, this weight bearing, so we're stressing the bones. Fantastic to keep us youthful. So this time I'm going to rest in downward facing dog. Hands out, shoulders rolling away from ears, lifting those sit bones again. Smooth breath. And then come down into child pose. Knees together, tummy just drapes over your thighs, and taking your head towards the ground. If head doesn't reach the ground, stack your fists one on top of the other. So you rest your forehead onto something, fists for the ground, and if you can, take your hands behind you. Give yourself a few breaths to recover. So the shoulders dropping away from the ears. So we want to create space. Sthira and Sukha, strength, but also softness. And then press up through your shins, take your hands behind you. This is a mudra, coming right onto the crown of the head, hands up towards the ceiling, scoop tummy button towards your spine. Don't move your neck at all. And then draw the whole shoulder girdle up towards the ceiling as well. So we squeeze those shoulders. Really nice, smooth breath. Very good. Coming down again. Come back into downward facing dog. Shoulders roll away from the ears. Take your feet wide on your mat, toes out, heels in, back into your squat, here, your low squat, rocketing up on an exhale. And then hands down. So we're just going to come through a few squats. Feet are parallel, arms out in front, shoulders retracting into shoulder girdle. Drop down. Make sure when you squat with your feet straight ahead this time rather than out to the sides, make sure when you drop down your bum is lifting back behind you. Sitting bones are spreading and your knees are not tracking forward. They stay just on top of your ankles. Good. So dropping down here, shoulders are wide. I want to have about 80% of weight through the heels, and toes are not lifted, toes are on the ground, but most of my weight is in the heels here, not through the front of the feet. If the front of the feet are facing into the ground, knees go forward. We want to lift those sit bones. So come into, this is called Utkatasana, power pose. And imagine you have a ball in your hands. This is going to help us switch on our core muscles. Drop down as if you're about to throw the ball. And as you exhale, push the floor away and throw the ball away. Inhale to come down. Push the floor away, those heels come up. Down. Down. So we just want the glutes and the hamstrings strengthening now. You want to feel as if your gluteal muscles are squeezing in towards your sitting bones as you come up. But don't let your pelvis come forward like so. Keep your bum back of the midline of the body. As you come up and you push your hands up, like you're throwing the ball, we're getting the deep transverse abdominal muscles. So you'll draw in and up. So really good for deep core strength, which is going to help you stay away from lower back niggles. And again. Great. So give your legs a little shake. So one more standing strong pose for getting into those glutes. We're going to come through some lunges, and this is actually proven to be nearly 60% more effective on pelvic floor toning than just doing Kegels when you're on the ground. So coming into a high lunge, we want to have, so your left leg, my right leg, back, and your right knee stacking on top of right ankle. Now lift up through the crown of the head, have the ridge of the back of the head lifting as well. Hands can be on the hips, or for stability, out to the side. Now as you exhale, you push the floor away with your front heel, and you come up. And then you drop down as you inhale. So we're opening the groin, exhaling, we're drawing everything, four corners of the pelvic floor in and up, inhaling down. Exhaling up, crown of the head is lifted, inhaling down, good. And now see if you can use your arms as well to help you balance. Down, inhale, opening the ribs on the side of the body, down. So we're really using the intercostal muscles between the ribs to breathe. getting that wonderful oxygen exchange through the body. We're adding balance. We've got a lot of weight bearing through the body, and we're using not just our thigh muscles, our bum muscles, but also pelvic floor, deep core muscles. Really great. Overall body toning and strengthening. Just swivel around to do that on the other side. To drop down initially, open up those hip flexors, those psoas muscles. You want to push the floor away as you come up on an exhale. So coming down, inhale, exhale. Give the eye gaze, the drishti, onto a point in front of you, which isn't moving. You want to keep your eye gaze soft. So slightly relax your eyeballs. So you keep your mind relaxed, you keep your jaw relaxed, keep your eye gaze relaxed. The rest of the body working hard. Getting oxygen flowing through the body by also moving the arms. So important to breathe deeply. Use the whole lung capacity. Breathing into the back of the lungs. One more of these. Good. Now, if you've got a wall close by, use the wall to stretch your spine, lengthening up through the sitting bones, stretching through the back of your legs into the glutes. And then figure 4 stretch. So either holding onto a tree or the wall, or doing this balancing. So I'll do it holding on initially. So we want to take your left ankle on top of your right knee, on the thigh. Bend down as if you're coming to a squat. So you make sure that the standing leg, your knee's not dropping forward. You don't feel any pressure through your shin. And you want to drop your left knee out to the side. So the stretch is coming right here, deep into the glutes, into the top of the thighs. And keep the heart lifted, so you're not folding forward like so. Keep the heart lifted. Either fingertips resting on something, or if you can balance, hands together, press the hands together. Imagine you have an orange between your shoulder blades and you're gently squeezing the orange. See if you can drop down a tiny bit deeper. Keep the hands pressing together for balance. Good, and then doing that on the other side. So just give your standing leg a shake. I'm going to do this one balancing. So ankle on top of knee, dropping down into your balance, keeping the heart lifted, shoulders away from ears. Press the hands together for stability. Eye gaze on a point a few meters in front. Drishti. Eye gaze is very soft. Keep lengthening up through your sitting bones and dropping the knee out to the side. Good, and then slowly coming up. So one more to do, just a bit of fun. If you've got a wall, use a wall. Otherwise, I was going to say you could use a tree, but the tree needs to be pretty straight. So come into a forward fold to start off with. Sitting bones against the wall, soften the knees, fold yourself forward. Just let everything become heavy. Let your shoulders relax, back of the head relax. We're looking to try and do that tabletop position, that upside down L, but instead using our legs lengthening out from the wall and our hands below our shoulders. So coming into a kind of a version. So hands are wide. You want to externally rotate the shoulders, just like in down dog. So come into down dog initially. Keep your heels up the wall, and you want to pike your sitting bones as high as possible. And we're getting, it's about a leg length between the wall and your hands. So don't be too close, and don't be too far. I'll just show you what happens if you're too far or too close. First of all, I'll show you what happens when we do this correctly. We want to bend the knees, scoop through the lower belly, so you're working on all the corsetry we've just been switching on. Bend the knees, walk your way up the wall, and then when you get to here, press the heels into the wall to send the weight forward. So now the bum is sitting right on top of the shoulders, the weight's going down through the hands. So really nice, deep, strengthening work through the upper body. You can always take one foot up as well to create even more strength, because you've got more weight going through the body. Let me try that on both sides. Working quite deeply through the core muscles as well. Coming back like this. And then relaxing. Let the shoulders be nice and heavy. So common mistakes. If your arms are too far away, so longer than one leg length, you're going to be like this. Okay, so now all my weight is forward of my shoulders, and that's just a lot of pressure on the shoulders, which is not necessary. If I'm too close, then I can't get my legs up. It's too difficult. So you need to be downward dog, leg length away, roll the shoulders away from the ears, scoop the lower belly. Imagine you are a diver, and then coming up from there, shoulders away from the ears. That's it. Good. And then roll yourself up. Big circles through the shoulders to release. So you don't necessarily need to go to the gym in order to get very strong, lean muscles. Just using your body weight can be enough. Take the hand into the wall. You can do this on either side of a door frame as well. And then turn the chest around to stretch into those pectoral muscles. Keep the shoulder dropping down away from the ear. So we just get a little bit of a twist through the upper back. Smooth breath. Doing that on the other side. So we stretch. This is called the lung 1 meridian. And we're going into the heart meridian as well. So we stretch right out through those pectoral muscles. Fantastic. Great. Come down onto your back just to stretch the body. So press the heels into the ground. Lift yourself up, so massage up through the spine. Roll the shoulders away from the ears. Take the hands underneath the body. If you can interlace the hands, wonderful, because we can come into full bridge. We want to draw the knees away from us and open the heart center, pressing forearms into your ground. And feel as if you are filling your lungs with your breath, right from the bottom of your lungs, right up to your clavicles, the upper part of your chest. And then rolling back down, one vertebra at a time. Take hands on knees, mobilize the femurs into the pelvis here. And then stick your feet up towards the ceiling. If you've got a strap, you can always use a strap around your toes. Rub the hamstrings. So just warming those hamstrings up, giving them a stretch after you've been doing lots of work. Press the pelvis into the ground. Turn your toes out and have your heels together. So you're like Charlie Chaplin. Rub the outside of your legs, rubbing into that sciatic nervy area here. And then bending the knees. Drop the knees out to the side to stretch your inner thighs, grabbing hold of your shins, pressing out with your forearms. So this is a frog pose, and I want you to really release the groin, release the pelvic floor here. Big, smooth breath. So I do a lot of pelvic floor and core strengthening in my classes. I don't normally do such strong stuff, but definitely do if the students want it. The main thing is to learn how to regulate intra-abdominal pressure and to learn how to get into good alignment, good posture. Because that, what you do for 90% of your day, how you stand, is much more relevant to how your body ages than doing a short session of Pilates and yoga or going to the gym. And then baby pose. So feet up towards the ceiling, flex your feet. Grab hold of either ankles, or if you can reach your fingers onto the inside of your feet, wonderful, so the arches here, and just draw the knees down towards your back. Notice if you're tucking your tail right up, so that means you've got very tight hamstrings and tight hip flexors. So we want to try instead to press the pelvis down into the ground, flattening the whole of your back into the ground, and then opening the groin area, stretching into those inner thighs, the adductor muscles. If you're more flexible and you can grab hold of your toes, then do so and start to press the heels away. So you can start by pulsing them, just noticing that lovely stretch on the inside of your legs, and then see if you can just keep that length through the heels, shoulders away from the ears. If you've got a strap, you can always put your strap around your feet and just hold on to the edges of your strap. Great. So stretching the body, lengthening the body. Knees in, drop your knees from side to side so your spine now gets a twist. One direction and then the other. Great. And then to relax, if you don't have time or you don't want to do a shavasana, a guided relaxation, just putting your legs up a wall. So if you take your hip against a wall and then take your legs up the wall and lie down, arms out, palms facing upwards. This is a wonderful way to drain any puffiness away from your feet, just to drain everything down back towards the heart. If you've got pelvic floor issues, if you've got pelvic organ prolapse, and you're feeling heavy through the pelvic floor, by taking a pillow underneath your pelvis, we literally draw the organs away from the pelvic floor. So a really nice way to spend 5 minutes. It helps us to calm the mind. It's an inversion, so we'll find that the exhalation lengthens when we come into an inversion like that. A great way to just slide into the parasympathetic nervous system. Fantastic. Have a great day. Enjoy your strengthening and keep moving, keep grounded, keep connected.